Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Lynn. We are Lynn and Will of LynnandWill.com. Today is our Lynn and Will Talk Live.
Right, we got an awesome guest.
We certainly do. We have a great guest.
Yeah, she's been through some stuff. We're going to talk to her a little bit about that. And if any of you ladies are out there watching, this will be a good one to watch. So why don't you tell our audience a little bit about who we are, where we came from.
So we are Lynn and Will of LynnandWill.com. What do? We provide tools and solutions for you to help build your business.
There you go. So we're going to actually have a discussion with Angeline about some of the tools that we use. But why don't you introduce our guest today?
I would love to. So, from rebuilding her life after narcissistic abuse to the owner and founder of Masked, a docu-series, we get to talk today with Angeline Constantinu. Right. So, leaving her abusive ex-husband was her first step to feeling free and transitioning from the victim to a victor in her life. Angeline started working in an advertising agency from 9 to 5. A lot of traveling was required in her position. Initially, that wasn't so bad, but it did become extraneous, and that's what led her into the next phase of her life. Angeline's job was paying her a decent wage, but something inside of her was making her seek more than just a decent wage. She knew she had a message to share with the world, but just did not know how to do it. She invested in a Millionaire mentorship group, and it put her on a new path. Today, Angeline is invested in this group and has grown so much thanks to its mentors and amazing women who have shared and supported her goals to change the world. She was growing slowly, but learned that the hardest thing about growth is letting go of limiting beliefs. Now, Angeline has placed herself in the hot seat by hosting webinars and doing Facebook Lives. Public speaking is a big fear for everyone, and she was no different. Angeline had to tackle this as well, and with her mentors and partners by her side all the way, pushing her to become better. Angeline continued to surround herself with high-vibe individuals and has experienced tremendous personal and professional breakthroughs. She has closed $18,000 and plus in sales, paid off her convertible, started receiving invitations to speak on popular podcasts and speaking events. Now she is the owner and founder of Masked, a docu-series. So without further ado, let's bring on Angeline Constantinu.
Hello.
You said it right.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
What an intro. Oh my goodness, what an intro.
Well,
it's all about you, girlfriend.
That's right.
Thank you, girlfriend. Hi, Will.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing great. I just came off a photo shoot. It was 2 hours today, but the whole process was like the whole day.
Wow.
All the prep work and wardrobe changes. We had to drive back to the studio, for wardrobe changes. And then we went to the park, and then we went to the Adelphi Hotel where I frequent a lot. Oh my God. And I had a glass of Prosecco.
Good for you.
But this is seltzer water right now. Okay. So yeah, the photographer, it's amazing. It's amazing. The photographer she and I worked really well together. And I hired an apparel stylist, so she did everything for me. She even made lunch for me.
Wow.
That's
awesome.
fabulous. We should do that every day, right?
Woo, right. And this morning, I went to go get my hair, like a blowout and style. And then I went to the makeup artist studio, downtown Saratoga, fabulous studio. So I got my makeup done, and I have these new lashes, which I've never worn before. So
that's great. They'll look good in your TikTok videos.
Oh yes, absolutely, absolutely. That's on the agenda for tonight. But anyways, let's do this.
That's awesome. Let's do it. So, Angeline, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about who you are, where you came from, and what you're all about?
Sure. Okay. So I just want to thank everyone for tuning in into today's broadcast. I'm honored and blessed to be a special guest on Lynne and Will Talk Live. Okay. So who is Angeline? People want to know who I am. So I was in a very dark place 11 years ago. I was going through the throes of a divorce. I was financially wiped out. I was physically abused, verbally abused, financial abuse. Monies were taken away from me, and I was living like a gypsy for 1 year. So, yeah. So back in 1988, I thought I married the person who was going to be the love of my life. Okay. And he was a high-powered businessman. I actually worked in his business and made six-figure income, brought in sales. We worked in New York City. So people thought that we were like the ideal couple. People thought that we were the ideal, like the Hollywood couple, but it didn't pan out that way. It didn't pan out that way. So, it was, speaking for myself, I tried to fix it. I tried to see if I could fix the marriage, but I was convinced that he wasn't going to change. And I was also convinced, I was told, I didn't know anything much about his past until some family members told me. But it was very rough. It was very rough. I was married for 23 years. And that took a huge toll on me. Because back in December of 1999, and I'm going to share this story, I'm going to be very vulnerable. I was lying in bed and I wasn't feeling good, and an argument had ensued. And I was in my robe, all covered up, and I was crying. I was like hysterically crying because he was, really being, just very abusive. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to go into the other room and just sleep in the other bed for the night. I didn't make it into the other bedroom. He took me by the neck and he threw me against the wall. Blood is gushing out, and I fell backwards, flat on my back. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I'm crying, I'm bleeding, everything's swollen up, and the funny thing is, he took me to the emergency room, which is not unusual with, someone who is like that.
So that's the last thing they do, right?
Yeah, you would think that's the last thing they do, but that's not the last thing they do. No, no. He carried me down the stairs in the car and drove me to the emergency room. And I was conscious, so I wasn't unconscious. But when I was in the emergency room, they hooked me up on IV, and I was there all night. And it was a broken nose. And I just thank God that it was just a broken nose and not something more serious, because I could have, God forbid, it could have been a lot worse. So I'm not, the surgeon came in and said, you need reconstructive nose surgery. So I had reconstructive nose surgery in 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
But that wasn't the first time, though.
No, that wasn't the first time. No, the rest was actually verbal abuse. So it was like a vicious cycle. Things would be good for 2 weeks, and then that's it.
How long were you married when that happened with your nose?
I was married for, let me just think, 11 years.
Wow, 11 years. So how long were you married when you started to know?
Well, I started to, this is what happened. I decided to go work in corporate America. So, to make a name for myself. And he became very jealous and resentful. and, you know, very bitter and everything. So, you know, he was jealous and resentful, and it was just not a good situation, not a good situation. So finally, I drew a line in the sand, and, you know, we had lost over $100,000 in the stock market in 2008. That was when the market crashed and the business crashed. But the reason why I went to go work in corporate America is because I wanted to make a name for myself, and I wanted to become independent. And then I realized that I could be independent, that I could live a financially independent life and just be free from domestic violence and domestic abuse. And the verbal abuse, believe it or not, is worse than the physical abuse because it goes on and on and on. So I found myself, I had lost my sense of self-worth. I had, you know, lost my self-confidence in myself. But in May of 2010, an epiphany happened. So I woke up, and I had moved all my stuff upstairs because I was living in a 2-story house. And I decided to write out a check to my attorney for $5,000 to start the divorce proceedings. And at that time, I wasn't working because there were layoffs. So, and then I also found out that he wrote balance transfer checks against, you know, like we had credit cards in both names, but it affected my credit. So I found myself $50,000 in the hole.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, $50,000 in the hole. But I decided, you know, but I made a plan that I was going to file for divorce because I said I deserve better in my life. You know how it is when you have like an awakening?
Yes, I do. It just snaps in your head. It's like, I don't need to live like this.
Exactly. I don't need to live like this anymore. So that's when I started, you know, and despite, when I talk about living like a gypsy, I was sleeping in people's couches. I would sleep in a motel room. That was not so great. Okay. Because I was afraid, you know, I was afraid to stay at home, even though we had a limited protective order. And what happened, and then what else happened? I would let the police know. So the New York State Police and the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office, I used to live in Rhinebeck, New York. Rhinebeck, New York is that's 2 hours north of New York City. So I told them exactly where I was going to be every time I left the house. I had a plan. And I felt that God had a better plan for me. And I didn't deserve to live this way anymore based on the abuse that he heaped on me. So I started. So then about a couple months later, I think after my divorce proceedings, I started to get involved in network marketing. That's when I started to enter the online space because I wanted to explore opportunities. And, you know, I took a lot of personal development courses, and that opened up a whole new world for me. And actually, I had joined a company that I was very passionate about. And I would work it behind the scenes, meaning he didn't know what I was doing. So I would go to the library. So talking about doing what you have to do.
That's right. Doing it in secrecy and having, a veil of privacy around you so that you're not exposed, because you'll be probably ridiculed, and he'll probably want to stop you from doing that, right?
Right. He tried to stop me, but I said, that's it. You know, I finally had the courage to stand up to him. And so what I talk about in my bio was about letting the authorities know. So when I told them that I was filing for divorce, I met him at a coffee shop in Rhinebeck. And I remember this day, the police said, go to a public place. Don't tell your soon-to-be ex-spouse at home because there could be trouble. And I knew better. And I kind of figured that out on my own, but they told me, and they said, don't change your mind, because guess what? You lose your credibility if you change your mind. And I see a lot of, like, some women, they're afraid to get outside of themselves. They don't have the courage to stand up, to their abuser, which is a shame. I mean, it really is. And it goes for men too. So it's both ways. It's both ways. So, so we just had a little meeting outside, and I told him I am going to file for divorce right now. And of course he didn't like it. So after that was over, the sheriff was at there was a shop in town. They call it the cigar store in Rhinebeck. So finally, after that was all said and done, then I walked over and I told the sheriff I did it. I did it.
No going back. Right.
There was no turning back.
Now, in the midst of all of this, did you have family or anybody to talk to, or did you not allow them to know what was going on?
Okay, actually, you asked a very good question. My family do. My first cousin, and we're close. We're still, very close. She knew about it. In fact, she had called me on the phone to tell me that my ex had called my parents without my knowledge, and basically he was, talking behind my back and humiliating me. So, oh yeah. Plus, he tried to admonish me in front of, the local authorities and the attorney and obviously court, but they didn't buy into it. So, yes, my family did know. They did know, and they were very supportive. In fact, the day that I filed the filed for divorce, I drove to Long Island. I have family in Long Island, so I drove to Long Island and stayed for 10 days just to clear my head. And I had gone to family court that morning to file the protective order.
But it's a safe place too, right?
Yes, to a safe place. Because I knew that he was, he was not in his right mind. He had depression, anxiety, and bipolar disorder. So I was dealing with all this.
Wow.
I was dealing with a narcissist, a narcissist, and it was just really horrible, very bad.
Well, it is, but you had the courage to take that first step. Even having your nose broken, you had it fixed, you left the hospital, you recover from your surgery, but you go back home and live with him?
Yeah, and I went back home because I didn't know any better.
Right.
I was too scared,
But did they make you file anything? How did you get this? Because you must have had bruises from the.
I had bruises. Yes. I took pictures of myself. Yeah. Well, like with, the lawyer, I kept a diary for 1 year, and that diary, I also had pictures, proof that I was physically abused. I don't have those anymore though. Not now, but I did have them in my old phone. So it was, pretty bad. Right.
You remind yourself of where you were and where you're going, probably, right?
Exactly.
Give yourself the courage. Courage is the biggest thing, I think, to make that mind shift and say, I'm doing this. I deserve better. I see women that are thriving, and I can be there too.
Exactly.
Right.
And
you are entitled to live your best life, period.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. Absolutely. I deserve to live a better life.
Right. That's beautiful. That's wonderful. So did you have a question?
So did the personal development or any mentorship, transpire during these years to actually help you move forward?
Yeah, Millionaire Mentorship program. I think I had read about that. Right. Millionaire Mentorship Group.
Yes, that happened 2 years ago. So I, was still going through some stuff in my life. I had to go back to work in corporate America again. Okay. Because, the business that I was a part of, my whole downline fell apart. Okay. So you all know about that. Okay. So my downline fell apart. So I had to go back to work. So while I was, working in outside sales, I decided to join a mentorship group. And this mentorship group was really, really amazing. I invested how much? $1,350. Plus I took a class, an intensive class that helped me break through my self-limiting beliefs. And that was, so I invested about $4,000. But as far as personal, and it was a great mentorship group. We had mentorship classes, and no matter where I was driving, I would pull off at a rest stop and I would put my, earpiece in and I would listen to a mentorship session. No matter where I was, because I was driving to Buffalo, I was driving to Massachusetts, I was driving to New York City. So I was on the road every single week, and I came across this client who actually reached out to me, United Healthcare Company. So based on the tools that I learned from my mentorship class, I closed. That was my biggest contract at that time, 2 years ago, an $18,000 contract. And it was all because of the skills that I had to learn, because I had to unlearn, because I was like 11 years ago, I was, basically beaten down to the ground financially and emotionally. And I had to work on it to build myself back up. And I didn't feel sorry for myself. There was no time for a pity party. There was no time for that. No time for a pity party, because there's, and people do complain. I mean, I'm blessed that I've surrounded myself with positive, high vibing people, and I've surrounded myself with leaders. I've surrounded myself with, a lot of great people, and I'm all over social media now. I'm on TikTok now, and I've met an amazing group of friends, and I've also connected with coaches and podcasters. So, so that mentorship class led me to something. So I was just sick and tired of commuting. I was sick and tired of commuting every single day. Or, like I would be out on the road every single day. And while I made good money, it just wasn't doing it for me. So last year during COVID, or right before COVID, I decided to start a podcast because I wanted to have a platform for women to amplify their voice, to help them find their voice and help them regain their power after. It could be domestic abuse. It could be any kind of trauma, trauma or anything. So I wanted to have a podcast to give women that platform, because I've always had a passion, for helping people, succeed in life, because honestly, life is too short.
Right.
Yeah, life is just way too short to feel miserable. And, that I'm very proud that I started my podcast, and that came because I'm telling you, it came because of COVID. I mean, right before COVID, I started the podcast and I put it aside, but then once COVID hit, then I went full scale.
Wow, that's great. So are you still working on that inner healing? I'm sure you went through a lot where you needed to find that belief in yourself, let go of those limiting beliefs, and know that you are powerful and beautiful and have talents.
Thank you. Yes, I had to work on myself. And it's work. Okay. I still work on myself today. I've invested in a business coach and a business consultant. And I would say between all my personal development courses and my mentorship, and now I have a business consultant, I've invested over $50,000 in myself with my own money. And I didn't borrow the money from anyone. It's my own money.
But it's investment, so it's
Yeah.
worth it.
It's an investment.
So is your podcast, is that Let's Break the Silence?
Yes, Let's Break the Silence with Angeline. That's the name of my podcast, and I got rebranded. And, now I have my one-on-one coaching program. I'm going to be launching a cyber deal this week. So to, you know, draw more people. So I have one-on-one coaching. So it's all about rediscovering yourself, because there's steps, there's different stages. You have to rediscover yourself. You have to do a lot of inner healing work, meditation, and I journal every single day. Every single day, and I practice gratitude every single day. I don't miss a beat. I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I resonate with all of that.
Good. And then when I was out working in corporate America, I would get up at 4 a.m. I would get up at 4 a.m. and you need an hour to yourself. You have to establish that. I call it DMO. It's a direct method of operation, but you have to have an established routine every single day. Right. And you have, first of all, getting in the right mindset. You have to get yourself in the right mindset.
Right.
And if I look at my phone, you know, we have enough trouble as it is today, you know, with everything that's happening. I don't watch the news. I don't have a TV in my apartment.
Kudos to you.
Yeah, thank you. So whatever I do here, it's much later, you know, maybe on social media, but I work on myself. I read. I have a couple of books that I really like. So one of the things that I talk about is self-love. Self-love is very, very important. And my mentor taught me this 2 years ago. You have to love yourself in order to love others. Because if you don't love yourself, you're going to have a really rough time out there. So I've learned to love myself. I take myself out. Like for Thanksgiving, I went to the Adelphi Hotel for Thanksgiving dinner, and I had a great time. I was there for almost 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
Good for you.
Yeah, thank you. So I take myself out, and I actually did this during my divorce. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go out. Let's see what it feels like. Oh, yeah. And then a friend of mine calls me and says, dining alone can be very tranquil.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you don't feel alone. It's like I didn't feel alone.
So we have a question from somebody saying, would you say most domestic abusers are narcissists or personality disordered?
That's a good question. And Adam, I would say both. Yes, I would say both.
Well, isn't a narcissist a personality disorder all in itself?
It is. Yes, it is. It is. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's I did a lot of research into narcissists too, to understand how it evolved.
Thank you for that, Adam, by the way.
But I would like to ask you a question though. Was there anybody prior to your marriage that perhaps made you marry your ex-husband? Like you married a similar personality when you married your ex-husband?
I didn't know that he had a personality disorder.
Okay.
They hide it.
So you didn't have a narcissistic parent or anybody close to you?
No, that's a good question. The answer is no.
Yes, they hide it very well. They wine and dine you and show you Shangri-La, right? Until you realize, behind these walls is personality.
Oh, no.
It's a cool thing, right? They pull you in and push you out. Pull you in and push you out. That's what they get off on. Being able to
they only push you out as much as their control allows, right? It's within that whole sphere, right? I know.
So tell us about the Masked
Docu-Series.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so excited to share this. So Masked, the docu-series, it's putting realism onto film. So it's going to feature domestic abuse survivors who are thriving after domestic abuse. So God willing, the plan is that we will, we have investors who are interested. We actually have a meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. So, now this is another thing. Domestic abuse is swept under the carpet. This is how I've always felt this way, okay? And it starts with a vision. You have to have a vision. You have to have a plan of action. You have to, that idea and vision and being emotionally attached to that vision. I mean, when I think about it, I can't wait until it's released. So the first 3 episodes we're going to, film. They're actually 2 women who I interviewed on my podcast. And one woman, she is a life coach and she lives in London, and her book is available on Amazon, Master Your Life. And she went through, forget it. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be reenactments. I'm going to be, traveling to support these women and, providing coaching services for them, because a trigger may come up. I mean, it's possible, but it's also, this film is about empowerment. It's about, empowering people, and I can't wait. All I can say is I cannot wait. So the docuseries is going to be, I think we're looking to do 2 seasons. So season 1, next year, and then we'll start to go into season 2. But as developments happen, I will definitely put that out. And we also have a Facebook page for people to go and support the docuseries. So
What's the name of the Facebook page?
Oh, it's called Masked Docu-Series.
Okay.
Excellent.
It's a story of resilience. Because that's how I am. I'm very resilient. And once I get focused on a goal, there's no stopping me in achieving it, no matter what life throws at me. And I can tell you this. I mean, life has thrown me many curveballs, but I've managed to persevere. I've managed to get through it, So I'm very proud of my accomplishments, because the pain that I went through led to my purpose in life.
Right. You survived, and now you're able to take that and really empower other people, because you went through it and you feel every single emotion, and you know how scary it is to leave, to make that decision.
It's scary. It's not easy.
It's scary. It's scary, especially if you fear for your life too. And that's a lot to deal with. So do you believe that, we have a question, do you believe that
he said, so this is Adam. He had a comment initially. So what's painful is that they rarely change. And you're so right. I don't know, once you become a narcissist, whether you can ever change, right?
No, I don't.
They rarely change. They won't change.
Because they don't want to recognize it. And changing that type of behavior is huge.
And then he has this question. Would you say most abusers were abused themselves?
That's a good question. I remember he told me when I was married that his mom threw a shoe at him when he was like 11. So that could be part of it. Maybe that developed, like a resentment towards women. You don't know. I mean, but I'm sure that contributed. That's maybe something that, more of a professional could answer that question. But I would say sometimes, yes. It depends. I think it all depends on the situation. So
right.
And he's got one more. He says, is an abuse a learned behavior? I haven't been the same since. So that sounds like maybe another professional question.
Probably, yes.
Right.
Yes, I would say that is a professional question. Yes.
Thank you, Adam, for your comments.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. We appreciate that. Thank you. And if you want to reach out to me and have a conversation, we can do that too. So,
how long have you been divorced?
11 years.
And you work on yourself every day. You work on yourself every day.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. 11 years.
Without fail.
So you got a lot of things going on. You have your podcast going on right now, which is
right.
You have the Masked Docu-Series coming up,
which is fabulous.
And
kudos to you for doing that. That's a beautiful thing.
You're already into the thought of a second season and are into the thought of a third season, so that's amazing.
Yes, thank you.
You already have several people lined up to be a part of that docu-series.
Yeah.
You're offering them support, because I couldn't imagine going through some of the things that you ladies have gone through in abuse and having to relive it. Seems like me, I'd be like, okay, I got to move on.
Right. You're willing to do it.
But you have to face it first And then you can move on.
Exactly. And you have to completely heal from the trauma and from the abuse.
To know that you're worth, to know that your voice matters, to know that your thoughts matter,
Right.
to know that you are worthy and you are not somebody who should shrink up and shrivel and die and not say anything for the rest of their life. Right. That you are beautiful and special and unique. I know. I can relate to a lot of what you feel.
I'm still
And you don't realize, you can't even believe that you're caught up in it when you're in a marriage like that happened to you. But then when you look back, you can kind of see, I can see triggers I can see those red flags now.
Exactly. The first thing that you have to do is, I just want to say this, okay? You have to take ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning you have to stop playing the victim and draw a line in the sand and say, and that's what I did. And that's what I did. Surrender your pride and ego, and just say, you know what? I want a better life for myself. I deserve to live a better life. And you have to I manifest. So I do a lot of manifestations and I pray, and I can tell you, and you put good out to the universe. So I always talk about this. When you put good out to the universe and not expect anything in return, things start to happen. So instead of being in a mind of scarcity, that will take you to an abundance mindset. That was huge for me. That was huge. So letting go of those self-limiting beliefs and just saying, you know what, even if I have $50 in my bank account, I'm still going to do this. And I know some entrepreneurs who have done that, and now they're billionaires. So, hi, Melissa. How are you?
Hey, Melissa with her angel wings, she's awesome.
She's beautiful.
Melissa is a
Another beautiful soul.
She's a beautiful soul.
Yeah. She's amazing. So, it's that inner. So I've always worked on myself, and I still work on myself. Work on myself.
Well, I think we always have to.
Yeah, you have to, right?
No matter what situation you're in.
Reading, right?
Personal
writing,
development, the mentorship, all that stuff is so important.
So important.
So if you had one parting thought for our audience, what would that be? I know we talked about limited beliefs. What would that be? Just one thing you would hang on to give our audience something that is in the same situation you were to get out of it.
Yeah, another woman that is in the same situation that you found yourself in. What would you tell her to do?
Never give up hope.
Perfect.
Hope is everything. Without hope, you have nothing. And I know for myself, I never gave up on hope. I never gave up. There's hope out there. When I shared my story 3 years ago, that my millionaire mentor said to me, you have to be vulnerable and share your story. I said, okay, I can do that. Oh, I can do that. I can go Facebook Live and do that. And that was the biggest chicken of Facebook Lives. Used to be. So I'm holding the camera and I'm shaking, telling my story, and it goes viral on Facebook. It went literally viral. I would say over 10,000 views.
Wow.
Wow, that's fabulous.
Yeah, and and then I put it off to the side again because I had to work on myself. But once I shared my story, I think that's when the breakthrough started to happen for me. And I'm living an abundant lifestyle. It's not about, you have to have money in the bank to live, but it's all about having an abundance mindset and not being stuck in that scarcity. Okay. And the pity party is over.
Right. Taking ownership, I can relate to that, as well as believing in yourself. I personally was told that to not talk. It doesn't matter. Nobody wants to hear what you say. So to hear people say that they thought I was intelligent was amazing, or that I was even physically attractive was amazing. I was like, wow, because I've been told so many other things. You start to believe it. But I would think, but why did you marry me if you think all of this about me? But it's a whole, but it's all healing, and you're doing a beautiful service to many. You're going to help so many and empower so many women. And I applaud you for, using what you've overcome and are still continuing to overcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
To help and empower other people. That's a beautiful thing.
Exactly.
So when you get your docu-series off the ground, and would you like to come back and have a discussion about it?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's do it.
Can you give us a little sample of what the docu-series looks
Sure,
like?
absolutely. I'd love to do that.
That would be very exciting. And I know you're going to do very, very well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Even if you just affect one life in a way, just one life, it's all worth it. But you're going to impact so many more.
Well, I believe so.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, okay, so let's go over. How do they get hold of you? How many different ways you got?
Okay, so there's different ways they can go to my website, which is letsbreakthesilence.com. Thank you very much, Debbie. Thank you. So www.letsbreakthesilence.com. And I'm offering a free VIP coaching session. So when they go on my website, they will see that box, book now. Just book a call with me, and we'll talk, and we'll see if we are a good fit for each other.
Fabulous.
Awesome. That's
great.
Thank you.
www.letsbreakthesilence.com.
And also, my podcast on there. My podcast is on Anchor FM, Spotify, Google, Apple, and most of the live streams. So my podcast is on there. There's an exclusive interview that I did with a woman podcaster. She is amazing. We connected last year. And my coaching services are on that website as well. So.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's awesome.
And my social media. Oh, by the way, so this is why you have a website. So I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. And now my TikTok handle is on there.
Okay,
that's great.
TikTok. So you go to that one place and they get a hold of you everywhere.
Yeah, there you go. There you
That's
go.
what it's all about, right?
Exactly. And I have the resources there as well.
Branding.
That's right. That's branding, right?
That's branding 101.
We talk about that all the time, right?
You go to one store to get everything. So that's amazing. Thank you so much for coming on our platform and having this conversation.
Thank you.
We're very grateful. God bless you and all the work that you're doing, all the people you're going to empower and that you've already empowered.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Looking forward to the next one. So
yeah.
When the docu-series launches, we'll get you back on here. How's that?
Okay, very good. Awesome. Awesome.
All right, my dear.
All right, Angeline. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks again.
Bye-bye. Nice seeing you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right.
That was awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's come a long way.
Yeah, terrific. Great.
You know?
Beautiful story. A very heart-wrenching story.
Right.
But now she's turning it around and she is the victor.
Right. That's
no
right.
more victimhood.
Yeah, victim to victor. I think she says that someplace.
It's great.
So victim to victor. So if you guys are interested, go to letsbreakthesilence.com, which is streaming right below. And I think we'll end it right there.
Right.
Is that all good?
That's all good.
All right. With that being said, peace,
love, and light. Peace out, everybody. Thank you.